Hi, welcome to another craft and chat. I am so excited that you're here. Now today I want to show you how I made a card. I've already made a couple and let me just show you my prototypes. Well, first off, let me show you what products that I used. PinkFresh had a release about last month and I loved everything, so I bought many things. So they have the ornaments and it's a stamp set. It's a die set, and I love too because the dies also cut out. Oh, here they are. These sentiments, these script sentiments, which is so awesome. And it's also a hot foil, and it's a stencil set. And I adore Pink Fresh Stencils because they're really, really easy to use. So earlier today, I made this card. And it's very light color ink. As you can see, I used Pink Fresh. I used these 3 inks and a very light hand. And then I used the dies to cut it out. And I did some Simon Says Stamp gold embossing powder right here. And I cut the sentiment. The sentiment is 3. I layered them. But I got to tell you the truth. This was the most fiddly card I've made in forever. I tried to use thin gold string floss thread, and getting it on the needle was really a struggle for me. So I'm like, you know what? I really don't think I want to do that. So then I went back to the drawing board, and I thought, oh, well, let me do this. Let me just leave it just the way it is. It is just a beautiful design, and this is what we're going to make today, but we're going to use different colors. This particular one I used sky blue. No, I used ocean breeze. I used these 4 colors. Well, the card we're going to make today, we're just going to use 3 colors, and let's just see how it all shakes down. So now, I'm not a hot foil expert. In fact, you'll probably watch me bumble around. And my craft and chat, so I want to let you know, these are like, hopefully, raw, unedited videos. We're going to talk, and I want to get going on the project. And as I'm working on things, and there's some lag time, I want to ask you some questions, and hopefully you'll respond, and that would be really great. All right, so in front of me, I'm going to set this card aside. We'll put it over here since that's our prototype. I have my Spellbinders Glimmer machine, and there's lots of Glimmer machines out there. I happen to have a Spellbinders Platinum 6, and the Glimmer machines go with the die cut machines. So I know there's a bunch of others, but this is just the one I have, and I will definitely link it for you down below. There's a hot mat here, and it comes with some tongs. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the hot foil plate, which is right here. And I have found with foiling that if I use hammer mill smooth cardstock, you probably can't see it, hammer mill 100-pound smooth cardstock, it absolutely foils the best. So what I want to do is I want to cut a piece that's a little bit bigger. Well, actually, I already cut one. Look at that. I was thinking ahead. Then my hot foil plate. It's a little bit bigger than my hot foil plate. And so you put your die up on your Glimmer machine. Whoops. It's your die first. I'm going to use this gold. Let's just see. It's about right there. And for some crazy reason, my scissors are not cutting. Oh, they are now. But earlier today, it was like cutting tomatoes with an axe. They were not cutting. I'm going to put this on here pretty side down, but I have a little too much foil. So let me just measure it based on the card, because I don't want to waste the foil. And I have a little folder that I keep my foil in, my extra pieces for sentiments and stuff. And I wrap all of my foils with hair ties. And I keep them in a clear little box, and that way I could find everything. So I'm going to put it in there pretty side down. And then I'm going to lay my cardstock. I'm just going to judge where this is on top. That's why you cut it a little bit bigger. And then you have some shimmy things, which are right here. You put your shim on top. You put that on top. And you hit this timer. Excuse me. And that timer is about 20 seconds. I'm going to give it a little bit longer than that. And when that timer's off, we're going to put it in our die cut machine. And I love the Stampin' Chats because, or Craftin' Chats actually is what I'm calling them, because I'm not always stamping, because I get to talk to you about what's going on. And my thing's all crooked. I'm sorry about that. So my camera's just not behaving. I'm not really sure what's going on. But anyhow, I think I mentioned in my last video that our house is for sale and that I'm working in my most awesome craft room that I designed from the bottom up. Why is this crooked? And we're selling the house, so I haven't really been doing a whole lot up here as it pertains to mess, because making a card is a mess, because I didn't want to have to clean it all up, and I don't want people walking in the house looking at my craft room going, oh, well, look at that messy room. But because the holidays are swiftly and fastly approaching, I thought I had better get going, and I don't really care if my room is a mess, and we don't really know where we're going to go. We think we want to go to South Carolina, but who knows? Okay, the timer button is off. I've given it a couple of extra seconds. So I'm going to take it and very gently, I'm going to pull it away. And then I'm going to run it in my, all you need is everything that's in here. I'm going to run it in my, now you can tape the foil to your die and your paper. And I like to go through twice. And you don't want too much pressure. The Glimmer machine applies the heat and the die cut machine applies the pressure. And you don't want too much pressure. Now this is hot. That's why they give you these tongs. And we're going to take those off and put it on that. And then we're going to put this back on here when you're, that way it can heat up again. But let's take a look at it. Now the hammer mill paper is so incredible. Oh, look at that. It foiled absolutely beautifully. I just can't believe how beautiful it is. Now, excuse me, you can reuse this foil if you have a solid plate, and if I have time at the end, and if you remind me, haha, that's what I will do. Okay, I have a sticky mat inside of my Misty, and so that is what I'm going to use right now. So I don't have to worry about my cardstock sliding all around. So I'm going to put that right in there. And then the Pink Fresh Studio stencils are so awesome because they're labeled. I don't know if you can see them, but in the upper left-hand corner, it says stencil number 1, stencil number 2, stencil number 3. I keep some old washi tape with my glimmer stuff. And so I just use this old washi tape and I lay it down. So it's really funny. I'm not multitasking very well right now. I can't talk and lay this out straight. That is just the craziest thing, why I can't lay this straight. Because it's the cardstock's on a sticky mat, I don't have to worry about it moving. So I am just going to tape down stencil. And since we're using, well, I lost one of my inks. 1, 2, here it is. 3. All right. So, since we're using these 3 inks, I have 3 different brushes here, types of brushes here. Simon Says Stamp, big one, small one, and rabbit hole designs. And there's so many of these kind. I just love them. I actually love the rabbit hole designs packaging. I saved all the little tubes. And I have a cloth because I don't know what's on the blue right now. And I want to make sure that that is clean. So I'm just going to give it a little rub. You can see a lot of blue came off. And then let's just, this is Ocean Breeze. And I want to make sure that I don't go direct to the paper, or you can, but don't start right, because you'll leave a really weird mark. And you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to start with blue paper, but I forgot. Maybe next time. I think it would be fun to start with a blue paper, and then maybe like a distressed paper or something like that. And because you still want to use well, actually you want to use the hammer mill paper, because if you use blue, your foiling might not be as smooth as it is. I tried it with different kinds of paper, even Nina 110-pound cardstock, and it does not come out as well as I would like. All right, I'm giving this a really firm hand, and I'm trying to collect ink in the corners. I don't want it to look like it was stamped or Hallmark made it. It's going to look made by Jane. And when I'm looking at stamps, there's so many. It's overwhelming. You could go broke. Your hobby could become your obsession. And so I try really, really, really hard to not let my hobby become my obsession. So I know I need to make about 30 or 40 Christmas cards this year. So I'm always looking for stencil number 2 is what I'm looking for now. I'm looking for stamps and dies and whatever that I can mass produce. Because I just want to be able to make sure that I can, not spend, golly, you could spend $500 on stamps and dies and everything and making cards and whatever. I remember my very first card. I fell in love with card making, and I said to my husband, oh my gosh, I discovered paper crafting and card making. Cards are $6. I'm going to learn how to make cards. And so I ordered, was Stampin' Up! At the time, everything, the stamps, the paper, whatever. And I worked on my first card, and I said to my husband, look at this. It only cost me $1,000. Anyway, and that's how much our cards could cost. So I'm trying to be very careful here. All right, the next color I want to use is aquamarine. And as I said, I'm using the Simon Says stamp brushes. Now, this has got some smaller areas in it. So I'm going to clean this Rabbit Hole Designs. Is it blue, or I'm going to call it blue. And I'm going to, as you can see, if it, you can get it, a whole lot can come out. You just got to be careful that you don't want too much. Okay, and I want to go with a heavy hand here. I want it to be dark. I've decided that I wanted this to be dark. And it's just beautiful. I mean, the inks go on beautiful. Now, this is a tricky stencil right here. I kind of messed it up. So you kind of have to be a little careful, because it's not really attached at the bottom, and I don't want it to rip off. But anyhow, as a financial counselor, coach, independence coach, I'm fully aware of how addicting crafts can be. I mean, back in the 80s, I knitted with, hand-dyed yarn from Italy, yarn that I could not afford, because I wanted it. But I also want people you especially, to think of your future. When you're old like me, what are you going to live on? How are you going to live? I mean, if you love the lifestyle you're living now, I guarantee you, unless you make a plan, Social Security will not support that lifestyle. So, I'm a big proponent of investing, even though stock market's in the toilet. It's not always in the toilet. It's in the toilet right now, but our portfolio has been paying us for 5 years on the money that we invested. And if you have any questions about that, you can let me know. I'm happy to help. All right, so I'm going to do what color is that? That's why they have these little ink holders, aquamarine. Now I'm going to go with a stencil number 3, which is Tidal Pond. Gosh, look how beautiful that is. And this is the final details in the stencil. And normally I'd put my head right up in here, but I'm trying not to do that, because I decided to let the gray grow out of my hair. I'm going to see what it looks like. I don't know why. A couple of people, my hairdresser canceled my appointment. I'm like, let's just see. So I don't want you to see all my gray roots. All right, so this is the darker. Now there's a couple of bigger sections here, and I will grab this bigger brush for those, but in the meantime, let me do this one, these little ones right here. I want to take a peek to see if I like it. Oh, stunning. Can't wait for you to see it. So this is fun. And you know, if you had some gel paste or some glimmer paste, they would go beautiful in these little areas. I went to my drawer and pulled mine out, and they're hard as a rock. And I know there's a way to rehydrate them, reconstitute them, whatever the word is. But I didn't want to do that today. There you go. You know, again, Christmas is around the corner, and I am trying to be, just trying to say no. As a blogger, I've been blogging for about 4 years. One of my blog posts that's going to come out soon is how to say no. I'm going to learn. You just got to say no. Otherwise, you just get overwhelmed, and you can't enjoy. If you're always caught up in the next thing, you can't enjoy what you're doing right now. And I'm trying to be present in the moment and enjoy my card making, enjoy my granddaughter, enjoy my family, my husband, whatever it is I got going on, and not be always so focused on the next thing. And if I have too many next things, trust me, I will not get anything. I will not enjoy anything. Okay, now if you're mass producing, you don't even have to clean these stencils. You're going to just put them right back on, and you're going to just keep using the same colors. Now, if I was mass producing these, I would do all the stenciling. Or they also, don't forget, there's a stamp. If you don't want to stencil, you can stamp, you can heat emboss, you can do it in black. I mean, you can do whatever. I got stamps stuck to the back. I would do all my stamping, all my foiling, and then I would do all my coloring, and I'd probably do some different colors just because it's kind of fun to break it up. All right, so that came out absolutely beautiful. Let me clean my work surface so I don't get ink everywhere. And let me move the cards I made out of the way so they don't get wrecked. Okay, so I like the way this looks. I love a matte on things, and I cut this freehand, and it's not exactly lined up correctly. So I decided for this next card, rather than having the white border in freehand, I grabbed the Hero Arts Infinity Rectangles, and I found the 3 that stack. So the smallest one is going to be on the card. And the beauty about using rectangles is you can actually line it up and see where it's covering. Where, oh, I just moved my old table. Where if you're cutting it freehand, you're not really sure. Now you can see I got a big messy boo-boo right there. So I'm going to cut that off for sure. So we're going to kind of line that up. Kind of lining it up on the edges. Nothing fancy. I'm not a fancy card maker. I love making cards. I hate smudges. So we're going to cut that smudge off. And we're going to put that through my Platinum 6. And my camera is sitting on my table. So if my table shakes, it's because for that reason. So let me ask you, Thanksgiving's just finished. Christmas is around the corner. Did you have a good Thanksgiving? When you do Thanksgiving, do you have lots of people over? Do you cook? Do you go somewhere else? Do people bring things? Do you share? How does it all work at your house? This year at my house, 3 of my 4 kids and their families and my oldest granddaughter all came. First time we've all been together for Thanksgiving in, I think, forever. Okay, that came out beautiful. Now what I want to do is I want to do the gold matte next. And so there's all different kinds of gold cardstock. The one I am using is, I have no idea. Let's see. Do I know? A4 mirror board. Doesn't do us any good. But I know Simon Says Stamp has some great mirror cardstock. And this is like a weird gold, don't you think? I feel like it's just a little too. So anyhow, we're having we had our menu, but this year I cooked different things. And I got the Magnolia magazine, Joanna's magazine in the mail, and I looked through it and I'm like, oh, we're going to make that pear salad. Oh, we're going to make that galette. And we're going to make this and we're going to make that. So some things were a hit and some things were not. And I keep a folder, so I pull out my Thanksgiving folder and all my recipes are in there. All right, now that's a little bit bigger. Where is my prototype card? Than this one, but it's cut straight, not non-straight, if that makes any sense. I know they're cut properly. So I prefer to use that. And Gina K has master layouts, and they're awesome because she has them to stack up, so they, I think they're like an 1/8 of an inch difference. And this blue paper I'm using right now, I'm going to tell you, is Gina K Blue Denim. Love, love, love this paper. But you know what? That's what I used in my last card. I don't think I want to use that in this card because I don't have navy blue in there. So let's pick, what do you think? There's that one. There's that one. I like the darker. Ooh, maybe it's the green. That's it. That's it. That is the Stamp Market Emerald Isle. And I don't know if I have that one. So let me look. I have all my papers on the wall, and then the Stamp Market are in a pull-out. And I'm low on the Stamp Market. And I don't have Emerald Isle. Of course not. No, let's see. It's the wrong. Maybe it's up here. Hold on. Oh, I don't have that one. Well, that's just a bummer, isn't it? Let's pick a different one. Of course, you always like the one you can't have. Isn't that just the way life is? You want the one that you can't have. Oh, that's a pretty one. Let's do that one. That's Peacock Lawn Fawn. And so if you go to my craft room on YouTube, you'll see where I have all my papers. When I did my craft room, one of the things that I wanted was this craft wall. So and because our house is on the market, I'm not really sure if I'm going to have this. Sorry, can you even hear me? With our house is on the market, I'm not even sure what I'm going to have when we move. But I'm hoping I'll be able to have my paper wall because it just gives me great joy. So I'm just cutting around here. It just makes my heart happy when I see all my papers all lined up and beautiful. And I don't have all by any stretch of the imagination. I kind of pick and choose the ones that I want to have. And you can see that did not cut very well, did it? So let's take our scissors. Let's cut it. Now, I was supposed to take a class on making a apple tart before Thanksgiving, but the woman was overwhelmed with custom orders. She's a cordon bleu chef, so I'll take it in January. But my galette came out really good. Okay, here's the gold. Here we go. Oh, that looks really, really nice. Okay, I don't think we need to, well, I do. I want to layer this up a little bit. Let's find the one that I used to cut the card. And we're going to go into I save all of my scraps. And we're going to go into my scraps. See, I made a boo-boo. And we're going to cut a couple of scraps. And so we can raise that up. We can create a little shadow in there. I think the shadow creates a lot of interest. And one thing you can do too, which I don't because I'm a little lazy, but you can cut the center of these out and just keep the border, because why waste the paper? You're not going to see it. Well, I shouldn't say I'm lazy. I'm not a lazy person, but I just choose not to do that. But that is a really great way to save paper. And then you can have this, especially the gold and the specialty cardstocks. So I have zero idea where I left off. I looked up and my camera shut off. It keeps happening and I don't know why. And I'm frustrated. So I'm saying when you put the glue on the back here, be careful you don't put too much so that it doesn't ooze out onto the gold mirror. And then we're going to put a little glue on the back of that. And, you know, I kind of changed my mind a little, as I'm prone to do. Rather than putting a peacock mat underneath like that, I'm just going to cut a card base. And I'm going to cut it 5.5 by 4 1/4. And then I'm going to score it with my Teflon bone folder and my score buddy. At 4 1/4, and then I fold back on it. This is nice heavy cardstock, because this is going to cover the whole card. Oh, stunning, so excited. I can see it in some pinks and some golds, and I just can see it in all different colors. All right, we're going to put that on there and let it dry. And then I'm going to grab another piece of cardstock, and I'm going to cut it to 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to put that on the inside so that I can write my message. And we'll put some glue on that as well. You ever made a card and it's upside down? I do occasionally. Those are the ones I send to my kids. Oh, because they already know their mother is absolutely wild. Okay, let's grab one of these. Now, Pink Fresh has these amazing brushed, they're like stenciled sentiments. And I'm going to do that later. I'll show you how to do that at a future date. But right now, I want to use the sentiments that are in the package. So let's see. Let's do Let Your Heart Be Light. And I'm going to gold emboss that on this piece of cardstock that matches the card itself. I'm going to put it in my MISTI. Put it on my sticky mat. I'm going to line it up at the bottom as close as I can. Now you're going to see my gray hair. Close the door to my MISTI. I love this embossing powder tool from Rabbit Hole Designs. It's so fun. It just, the powder's inside, cornstarch or whatever it is. And then I'm going to grab my Versamark ink, my well-loved, dirty Versamark ink pad. And I'm going to do a little stamp. And I'm going to give it one more. Okay. And I messed up. Look at that. It moved. So let's do it again. We didn't need to do the rabbit hole. See, this is crafting. Normally you edit all this stuff out. We all have boo-boos, and we edit these things out because we don't want to bore you with our boo-boos. But I'm not trying to bore you with my boo-boos. I just want to show you that there are boo-boos. So I'm going to grab my Simon Says Stamp gold detail powder, and I'm going to emboss that. And we're going to sprinkle it on the bottom. Give it a light tap. Can you see how good it looks already? And then I'm going to grab my heat gun. I have the Wagner. It's going to make some noise. That's okay. And, you know, typically you want to heat it up a little bit before you put it to your paper. If it's cold, you know, clean off your table. You can blow all the junk off your table. Because if you just put it here, you could just burn the paper. But you can warp the paper, and you don't want to warp the paper. You just want to let your embossing powder melt. And I don't care how many times I do this. When that happens, I get real excited. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Embossing powder is like, you ever wonder who invented things? I think about that all the time. Okay, so I have a little Jennifer McGuire trick for you. I'm going to take this piece of blue cardstock and I'm going to cut it off. And that is the end of my cutter. Now what I'm going to do, because I'm doing that because this one is not very straight, I'm going to put my cardstock underneath it. And as long as I know that the blue is up against the blade, right, it's right up against that edge, that cutting edge, I'm holding it down tight, I will know where it's going to cut. I'm going to make sure it's straight. Shove it in there, make sure it's straight. A little bit bigger because it's big on that side. And it takes a little fiddling, takes a little bit of fiddling just so you can get it lined up straight. All right. Cut the edges. Great. The end. And we're going to get my T-roller and make sure I do it straight because I have a habit of not doing it straight. And here we go. Let's see, where do I want it? Let's just do it a little bit higher. Make sure it's straight. All right, I like that. Now, I have a stash of dots and baubles and all kinds of things. You can get some gemstones. I'll link to you the ones that I could find. But I'm going to use these flat ones today. And I love this 3-in-1 tool from Spellbinders. I'm not going to use the big ones, the big one. But let's just put some of these dots around. And it's a little bit different. It's not as shiny. If you look at this one, it's a little more gold and shiny, but I wasn't really sure if I like that. Now, of course, the person who gets the card won't know that I had that thought process unless they're watching this video, and then they'll know. I sent a newsletter out the other day of Christmas presents I was making, and my sister happened to open it, which she never does, and she goes, "Oh, well, I want one of those." I'm like, oh gosh, I wasn't going to make you one. So I'm not really sure what to do now. And if you haven't gotten the newsletter, it's called Aging Gracefully. I kind of talk about my life and what I'm doing to live and with relationships and family and retired husbands and my life and stock market in the toilet and all of those wonderful things. And it's I get a lot of positive comments on it. I've been sending it out for years. All right, but it's a new one. Aging Gracefully is a new one. All right, there is the card. Now, I was thinking that maybe I should get a little gold pen. What do you think? Let me try it on a piece of, and just add some dots. I feel like the background is lonely. What do you think? Do you feel like it could have a few? Oh, well, there you go. My pen's going to run out halfway through. Does this happen to you too? Well, that pen's not working either. Well, like I'm a sad person right this very second. How do I get this to work? There we go. I just had to lay it down. For some reason, I was feeling like all that empty background was happening. And I really felt like I should have something. Now, if I trusted myself, I'd go on and draw some stars, but I'm lucky I can even write my name. Polka dots is probably all I can handle. What do you think? We can just now just touch it. It's working so good now. I just have to touch it. Okay, let's go over these again. This is the one I made earlier. Lots of work. Beautiful, subtle blending, which definitely could do on these if you wanted some subtle. I mean, I can see like a coral and a yellow. Oh my gosh, I just think it would be beautiful. And you can also emboss in, foil in silver too, which would be beautiful. I just happen to have the gold out, and when it's out, it's out. That's why I made this one first, and then I made this one off camera, and then I made this one on camera, and my humble opinion is I like this one better. I got a little glue on this one, so I'm rubbing it off, but I like the blue. I like the fact that I used the dies to cut it out. I like all the blue around the edge. Even though the white's pretty, I think this has a little more depth to it, and I really like the polka dots on the background. So, all right, thank you for stopping by. If you like this video, hit the subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell. I have a lot of YouTube videos about a lot of different topics. I blog too, but I have videos about money, about life, about family, about growing older. I mean, lots of different things. And card making is just part of who Jane is. Positively Jane. I encourage women to choose joy every single day, to rise above your circumstances. Do not let the circumstances of life kick you in the butt and turn you into someone that you don't want to be. And I give you some tips and tricks and tools to help you learn how to manage all that life will throw at you. So, all right, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. And I will see you next time.